start with our first panel discussion in incorporating future skills, training at work. We'll start with our chairman of the panel, Ahmed Al Naabi, Acting Director of Future Skills Development from Ministry of Transport, Communications and Information Technology. I would also like to call Abdullah Al Athumani, Technical Developer, Trainer and Coaching in Development of Institutional and Personal Performance from Ceremonies and Public Relations. I would like to also call Mohammed Al Ismaili, Learning and Development Lead from SOHAR Ports and Freezone. Subrahmanian Meendly, Technical Director, TRACEZ Training Services. I would like to also call Amirah Doubane, OD, Talent and Performance Management Consultant. And last but not least, Dr. Reshmy Krishnan, Head of Research from Muscat College.
Assalamu alaikum. Everybody, how are you? How are things? Good? Welcome to the first panel today. We are talking about incorporating future skills training at work. So mainly within this panel, we'll discuss, our discussion will be around three areas. First, it's about the current challenge that organization faced in work environments related to skills and competencies. The second area, how we identify the right skills, especially in future skills area. And the third point, what is the best practice and how we can identify and how we can implement the right programs to gap these skills. So first of all, I will start with Mr. Abdullah, and he preferred to speak in Arabic, so I'll ask him in English, then he will speak in Arabic. So as we know that there is many challenges now here, and since 2018, most of the world talking about the future skills after the global economic in Davos. But I think the main issue is now the future, not the skills. So do we really understand how do we understand how we can identify the current skills and how to identify the future skills?
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. صباح الخير جميعا. قبل كل شيء شكرا للمنظمين للمؤتمر ونجاحه. وحقيقة لربما موضوع مهارات المستقبل هو من المواضيع المهمة الذي ينبغي سواء الطالب قبل العامل داخل المؤسسة التركيز عليه. لذلك حفاظا حقيقة على الهوية القادم منها، وكذلك بعد المطالبات من يوم غد ستكون إن شاء الله المداخلة باللغة العربية، وفيما يخص الجوانب الأخرى سوف نتطرق إليها إن شاء الله تباعا. طبعا هنالك تحديات جدا كبيرة سواء قادمة من الاقتصاد أو من جانب التعليم، والحياة هي تكامل في النهاية. لابد أن نؤمن حقيقة أن الإنسان سوف يظل يتعلم إلى ما لا نهاية، ليست هنالك حدود للتعليم. ولكن من خلال المنتدى الاقتصادي مثل ما تفضل أستاذ أحمد، وجدت هنالك 10 تحديات أو خلينا نقول 10 مهارات ينبغي أن يركز عليها الشخص داخل الجانب المهني سواء أو التعليمي حتى يستطيع أن يصل إلى مرحلة جدا متقدمة من مهارات المستقبل. لربما سوف نتطرق إلى إلى 4 أهم مهارات تم إحصاؤها داخل المنتدى الاقتصادي. والمهارة الأولى هي مهارة حل المشكلات، ولربما البعض لا يركز على مسألة حل المشكلات. بالله عليكم أسألكم سؤال، ما هي الأسباب التي تجعل من الإنسان داخل محطات العمل أو أقسام العمل يخطي خطأ جدا كبير، وهي عدم تقبل الشخص ربما الآخر أو عدم وضوح الجو العام للعمل أو كذلك عدم التطرق إلى الخطة التي من خلالها يتم العمل. لذلك تقع المشكلة. هنا الآن نسأل السؤال، لماذا لا تكون هنالك مهارة حل المشكلات حاضرة وبشكل دائم ومستمر. تتعاظم المشكلات، الهدف يكون لإنجاز هدف معين، ولكن سوف ينحرف المسار إلى جانب آخر. في الولايات المتحدة فعليا تم دراسة هذا الأمر، وسألوا الطلبة الذين التحقوا إلى الأعمال ما هي المشكلة الكبرى التي فعليا واجهتموها داخل العمل. تتوقعون ما هي الإجابة؟ أن حل المشكلات هي المشكلة الكبرى التي تتعاظم يوما بعد يوم. الإنسان يملك المعرفة ويملك المهارة، ولكن كيف نحول هاتين إلى شيء ما يسمى السلوك؟ ولذلك السلوك هو يتطلب مسألة من مسائل المهارات، هي حل المشكلات. لربما أتطرق إلى المهارة الثانية، وهي مهارة جزاكم الله خير المتحدثين السابقون سواء اليوم ولا يوم أمس كذلك تطرقوا له بشكل جدا مفصلي، ألا وهي مهارة التواصل والتعاون. هل سوف تعمل بمفردك؟ من سوف يعطيك الراتب؟ من سوف يكون إدارة المكان؟ هنالك أناس بكرة لما يكون العالم كله روبورت أنت ما محتاج أنك تكون يعني عندك تعاون أو اتصال. ولكن راح أخبركم عن مهنة اليوم استجدت داخل المؤسسات. تتوقعوا ما هي؟ مسؤول مهارات ماذا؟ أو التواصل. شكرا جزيلا. مهارات التواصل مهمة جدا داخل العمل سواء أو الحياة الخارجية. الحياة المهنية اليوم نركز عليها وبشكل جدا كبير. لابد أن تنسجم مع هذا الأمر، لأن التحدي الكبير القائم اليوم كيف يستطيع الآخر أن يتصل بالشخص الآخر، سواء كان في العمل نتكلم عن مهاريا أو كذلك معرفيا. لذلك لربما واحد يكون شخص أكاديمي والطرف الآخر لا، سوف تكون لربما هنالك صعوبة. ولكن عندما يكون الإنسان منسجم في هذا الأمر يستطيع أن يواكب الشخص الآخر، وذلك من خلال المهارات. يقال انزلوا الناس منازلهم، وأنا أقول ارتفعوا إلى منازل الآخرين حتى نستطيع أن نكون طرفا للطرف الآخر متفاهمين. وتأكدوا كل التأكيد أن أغلب المشكلات التي تظهر هي من سوء الفهم داخل الأعمال، وذلك بسبب عدم وجود مهارات التواصل. ليس آخرا نتكلم نتكلم عن مهارة ومهمة جدا افتقد لها الكثير ولا يركز عليها البعض، ألا وهي مسألة التفكير الناقد. نعم، لن تتأتى اليوم الحياة إلا بشيء يسمى التفكير الناقد. والتفكير الناقد هنا نتكلم عن الاستنتاج، الاستنباط، التنبؤ. نتكلم كذلك كيف تنظر إلى الأمور بشكل شمولي، ليس فقط تركز عليه من جانب واحد، وإنما النظرة الشمولية تكون حاضرة وموجودة. التفكير الناقد للأسف الشديد اليوم خسره الكثير، ومن خلال دراسة أجريت في جامعة هارفارد. الجميع يعرف جامعة هارفارد من أقوى الجامعات، ل 2300 شخص داخل الجامعة منهم في السنوات الأولى من الجامعة، وعملوا لهم اختبار في مهارات التفكير الناقد. وكانت المفاجأة أنهم بعد ما سووا مرة ثانية الاختبار بعد 4 أو 3 سنوات وجدوا أن أكثر من 63% لا يتقنون مهارات التفكير الناقد. هذه المهارات الآن أتحدث عنها لن يتم تعليمك إياها داخل المؤسسات التعليمية أو كذلك في المهارات المهنية أو عفوا في الجانب المهني. لذلك هي من أكبر التحديات حتى تستطيع أن تصل إلى مسألة تسمى مهارات المستقبل. لابد أن تركز على أشياء تخص ذاتك ونفسك، مثل ما تفضلوا الأخوة المتحدثين سابقا أن بعض المهارات سوف تستطيع أن تتعلمها داخل المؤسسات التعليمية أو داخل العمل، ولكن لن تتعلم الأخرى وهي المهمة. وآخرا من 4 أهم مهارات تم التطرق إليها في المنتدى الاقتصادي العالمي هي مهارة الإبداع. الأستاذة اللي تحدثت قبل قليل في السيشن في مسألة كيف تنظر إلى نفسك وتكون لديك ثقة وإلى آخره، كل هذا لن ينفع إن لم تقدم لي شيء ما يسمى إبداع. لماذا تنبهر عندما تذهب إلى الخارج أو في الداخل لبعض المحطات في حياتك؟ تقول يا أخي جميل مبدع إلى آخره. الجمال يتأتى من الإبداع، والإبداع داخل محطات العمل مهم جدا. هذه مهارة لا يغفل عنها الكثير، أو عفوا يغفل عنها الكثير ولا يتطرق إليه. أنا اليوم عندي روتين من الصباح لغاية الساعة مثلا 2 أو 3 وينتهي العمل. لذلك ماذا قدمت؟ روتين. هل ممزوجا بالإبداع؟ المهارة المهمولة أو المهارة التي لا ينظر إليها الكثير، الإبداع لا يأتي إلا من خلال شيء ما يسمى كمية كبيرة جدا من المعرفة ومنغمسة بالمهارة، أي ممارسة في نفس التوقيت. وعندما نقول الإبداع كيف يأتي؟ يأتي من الإخلاص، وهذه كذلك مهارة تأكد كل التأكيد لو كانت حاضرة عند كل الأشخاص في المهن سوف يكون هنالك نتائج جدا كبيرة، ولن توجد هنالك تحديات مثل ما تفضل الأستاذ أحمد. هذه أهم 4 مهارات.
Thank you, Abdullah. Basically, he's mentioned the main 4 skills that we need to focus on in upcoming jobs and employment jobs. So he talked about the problem solving. The second skills is the communication skills, and the third one is the critical thinking, and the last one is the creativity. I think most of us, we have this list. We have list of 20 skills. Some of entities, they have list of 30, 40. But the main question, how we identify these skills? How we can, the organization, companies, ministries, how we can internally identify these skills in their organization? Mohammed, can you help in this area?
Yes, thank you all, and thank you, Ahmed, for hosting us today. First of all, we need to admit and agree that future is after this second, after this sentence. We are now in the future. Future is not after 10 years or 5 years or very 20 years, but we are talking about now. Because anything in the future, when we would like to identify any future skills, we are generating it currently, starting from now. If we will ask ourselves, how can organization or corporates identify future skills, there is a lot of elements, measurements, factors you can identify, but there are 3, or I can say also 4 points or factors we can identify future skills from experience and from like some work challenges that we had practiced before. The first one is each organization, first of all, needs to identify what is their vision, their mission, their values, their organization strategies and objectives. If you don't have a strategic objectives and values or vision and mission, and where do you want to reach to, so how can you identify your future skills? Because future skills are also coming from the vision, mission, and values and strategic objectives of this organization, the corporate objectives. So this is number 1 before identifying the future skills. The second thing is also from the subject matter experts. It's very important for organizations and ministries and any corporates and either in private sector or also the governmental sector is to go back to their employees who has certain expertise in each field. So for example, if we would like to know something about very critical and what is about the future of engineering, let's say in the oil and gas industry, we need to go back as well to our expert employees so they can at least give us from their experience. And if we will give some examples, like recently or the past 3-4 years or maybe also 5 years, we started to hear about green hydrogen or green energy. How did the green energy came? It didn't came just someone waked up in the morning and said like, let's start a new energy called green. No, it came from the expert people who had experience, who had research, who had some practical experience. From this experience they gained to came up with identifying what is the future will look like. Thirdly is also the research and development. It's very important also to go back to the universities and the colleges and international studies to see what is the future as well, what is the analytical data they have for the future. It's also important to go back to this research. Finally, from my point of view, of course, it's also people who are younger than us. It's very important to go back to people who are younger than us, 10 years younger than us, let's say students who are currently in universities, last year of school. And I will just give one example here because a few months back I interviewed one of the college university student, Omani student who is studying in the US universities. We wanted to recruit him for an internship program. And I was surprised with number of information in the interview. And to be honest, this is one of the interviews I couldn't forget till today, because the way how the coming generation are thinking, they are thinking into future. Let's be also realistic. Sometimes, and this is something, a human habit, sometimes when we are in our workplace, when we see someone who's elder than us, let's say 20 years elder, or he's nearby the retirement, we sometimes look at them like the way how they are thinking is all style. But actually, in the coming 20 years or 10 years, this coming generation will look at us in the same way. So that's why it's important to align with the coming generation to identify also the future skills. So this is my point of view. How can corporates, organizations can identify future skills? But of course, there is a lot of measures, factors, elements. Can also go back to more research, but I believe that this is the 4 main elements to identify future skills.
Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you. Mr. Subrahmanian, when we was chatting in between the breaks, we was discussing about the competencies framework. And I think how this framework can help entities and companies to identify also the current skills and the future skills.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Mr. Ahmed, for being our chairman. The word competency is something good to explain, actually, because the competency to explain in one sentence is having skill, knowledge, and behaviors to deliver a task. And competencies are based on task, actually, not on job roles. When someone has the competency for all the deliverables of a job role, we call that person as the competency. For future skill development or even current development, there must be a basic competency framework. That is the basic document which we refer to develop people. Then only we identify what are the competencies that to be developed. So competency framework is so important that must be custom made, actually. When you look at competencies, there are so many generic competencies, but few of the competencies are very specific to the job role. Maybe someone working in one organization, the specific competencies will be different from someone working in the same job role in another organization. So that has to be custom made. So how do we start developing competency framework? First, you pick the job position and job level, list down all the deliverables, all the activities, tasks that person is expected to deliver. Pick one task. Each task, we need to list down the knowledge, skill, and the behaviors. When I say behaviors, we'll come to know that that's one of the most important thing to look at, actually. Behaviors is the way we do a job. An example is, someone has all the communication skills. I understand how to communicate very well, how to write the email, how to address it. But I'm not doing it right. So that's a behaviors, actually. So these behaviors need to be developed. So list down all the knowledge, skill, and behaviors for each task. Then you have the competency framework. After getting the competency framework, we know already ministries doing the accreditations and approvals, they already started developing the framework. Maybe looking at the future job roles, it is important to predict what are the job roles that we can expect maybe down the line 2030? Is it only the IT-related jobs? Maybe not. What are the job positions at the moment we have that also will be carried forward? Maybe some of the job roles might disappear. It's not only the AI or big data or machine learning or coding, but we still need people to, prepare drinking water, refine oil. So all those skills also will be carried forward. So you develop the competency framework, then do a formal gap analysis actually. So the gap analysis result is your basis for the development. So you look at each job position, what knowledge, skills need to be developed. Right?
Thank you, Mr. Ms. Amirah. Now we are talking about the skills and how we identify these skills. So when we are moving from the training part, you are from this training area. How we can maximize and deepen the impact of the training related to these skills?
Okay. Good evening. So what we're trying to do here is that we're trying to gear up organizations for the future. And hopefully make these skills, whatever skills we want to embed, make them part of the organization's DNA.
Can you make it closer?
Okay, I'm not used to holding a mic. So I was saying that what we're hoping to do here is to gear up the organizations for the future and hopefully make whatever skills that we're trying to embed in the organization, make them part of the organization DNA. So I believe in order to do so, instead of the organizations, they will have to embrace like a more strategic way of conducting training. So instead of just creating training programs, we'll have to think of building a learning culture. That's very important. So building a learning culture that sustains the training and it extends beyond the training and the workshop. I have this small strategy that I use with whatever initiative or project that I manage. And it capitalizes mainly on the human element and the people engagement factor. Because if we all think about it at the end, we're social beings driven by purpose. That's what we are. We're just human beings in organizations. So it's basically people addressing people, whether managers or people, we're all human beings. Okay. So I call this strategy the 3 C's. So the 3 C's are collaborating. Actually, the first one is campaigning. That comes before everything. It's campaigning, collaborating, and culture. Now, campaigning is about communicating and getting your people on board with whatever you want to do. Because here we're talking in a conference, and leaders are talking in their offices and their meetings. And then we go to people and we start implementing without even preparing them for the implementation. So it's very important that we get them on board at a very early stage and invite them through, and in order to do that, it has to be through proper communication, strong and proper communication. So whatever the organization uses for internal communication, whatever system they use or whatever process they use, they have to use it efficiently to deliver this message and get the people on board at an early stage. So you start sending whatever the process, I don't want to be very specific, but you start getting people on board by telling them what is about to happen, why is learning future skills important, how does it impact the future, how does it impact the organization. So once they have the meaning, once you can implement whatever you want, they're partners of your success, and instead of having resistance and having questions, they're with you on board at a very early stage, and then actually it creates a spirit of cooperation between the different members of the organization. And the second thing is collaboration. Now, collaboration is a bit of a tricky one because departments have a tendency to silo. Everyone goes to the work, and after we're done with meetings and campaigns, everybody's busy with their own function, their own work. So we have a tendency to silo. For collaboration, but if it happens, it works a lot of difference and wonders when it happens between the different functions and departments and people. So this one has to come top down. It has to come from the top management going downwards to everyone. And it can happen in different ways, but one of these ways is having, for instance, learning, since we're talking about training and learning, having that part of everybody's KPIs. So if we talk about the function of the department head, it becomes part of their KPI to come up with a proper learning and development plan for each and every member of their team. And it becomes my personal KPI as an employee to show proof of applying what I learned in my journey this year. And so instead of this being only the training department's accountability to train people and manage them, it becomes everybody's accountability. So that's very important. And the last but not least, that's the most important thing, which is culture. We need to assess how our culture endorses whatever initiative or project we have or whatever purpose we're moving towards. Because culture is the basis of everything. So we need to, if we talk about learning, we need to think of how much time and space are we creating for the employee to learn? Do we create the time and space for employees to learn? Do we provide opportunities for employees to apply what they've learned, or they just send them to the training rooms and programs and then they come back and it's a waste of time and resources? So that's very important. So I believe once we have learning aligned with all of the three elements, we create some sort of flywheel of growth for the organization and the employees. So that's how
Thank you. It is
Thank
clear,
you so
very
much.
clear. Dr. Reshmy, you are a supporter of skills-based practice. This is the first time I heard about it. Can you clarify it and how that will impact in our organization and companies to select the right people?
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed, for hosting us. We know that unemployment is increasing in the labor market daily. No, day to day it is increasing, and all of us are having the concern about that. But the interesting fact is, on the other side, all employers, they are complaining that they are not getting the proper candidate, adequate candidate for their jobs, for their recruitment. So this is little contradicting things. So this is the thing we have to look into, and where is the gap, where is the skill gap, or where is the, we have to do the gap analysis. And I feel that there is the importance of the skill-based training will comes, the importance of the impact of skill-based training. And we know that employers are facing, this is the challenge when they are going for the recruitment. We know that there are different categories of skills are there. That is, skill requirements are there. Hard skills, soft skills, behavioral skills, different types are there. And here, the hard skills, as Mr. Mohammed mentioned, each organization, as per their mission, vision, and all, they can give skill-based training for their employees. Because after the recruitment, through a proper training should be there, frequent training should be there to the employees. And this hard skills training, it will improve the skills or the talents of the employees for the specific specifications for the certain job positions. And not only that one, it will increase the productivity of the employees. And overall, it will increase the productivity of the organization also. And it will increase job satisfaction, employee satisfaction, it will improve the staff retention. So many things are there. Ineffective. Not only that, through these frequent trainings, skill-based training, that is, you are making, the employers are making the employees to adapt the new technologies. We know that. See, here all are mentioning that new technologies are coming day by day, isn't it? It is economical or technologies, technical. So many technologies are coming day by day. So the employees should be ready to update or adapt these new technologies. So how they are gaining this capability? So through frequent skill training should be given in the organization. Regarding the soft skills or the behavioral skills, I feel that the training of the soft skills and these behavioral skills should be started before the recruitment itself. That is, the best place is the higher education institutions, because from the higher education institutions only students are coming, the graduates are coming for the employment. But here, luckily we can say nowadays that awareness is there more. These soft skills are also important. And here some of them mentioned about the competitiveness and the attitude, behavior, and also the critical thinking and the communication skills, team working, and all this comes under the soft skills. And the training about or the awareness about this one or training about this one should be given in the higher education stage itself. So if we are including this type of skill training in the curriculum of the higher education, the students who are graduating, the graduating students, they will be well trained before coming for the recruitment, so that the employees, this scenario, they are facing the challenge while recruitment. So this barrier can be avoided also in the case of soft skills. In the case of hard skills, again, as I mentioned, the organization, as per the vision, mission of the organization, as per the job requirement, a frequent skill training should be given in the organization. This is what I feel.
Thank you. Thank you. Abdullah, regarding the work environment, what's the unique skills that can help the corporates and companies, and the kind of skills that help them to build the team, organization, culture, and so on?
جميل جدا. فعليا نقول أن في مكان العمل هنالك بعض المهارات المتميزة لدى البعض، إلا أنه البعض يؤمن أن لا مكان للجميع في القمة، وهذا خاطئ. لذلك سوف تجد من الأشخاص الذين هم موهوبون بالفطرة هكذا، والبعض منهم تدرب كثيرا وتعلم كثيرا حتى يصل إلى ما وصل إليه، إلا أنه سوف تجد هكذا مهارة مستقلة تماما، وأنا أستطيع أن أقول هي مهارة فريدة من نوعها، أو مهارة تستطيع من خلالها أن تجابه فيها الآخرين، وهي المهارة التي غفل عنها كذلك الكثيرون، وهي الاندماج أو الانسجام الوظيفي. هذه مهارة مهمة جدا وغاية في الروعة في أنك تتعرف عليها. ومثل ما أخبرونا الأحبة هنا في هذه الجلسة النقاشية، أنا راح أضيف إلى أنه هنالك 3 خطوات حتى تستطيع أن تصل إلى مهارة معينة. الخطوة الأولى هي التدريب، والخطوة الثانية هي التدريب، والخطوة الثالثة هي التدريب. لذلك الإنسان الذي دائما يستطيع أن يكون ضمن المساعي النشيطة في هذه الحياة، لا بل في مكان العمل سوف يكون متميزا، أي بمعنى آخر لابد أن تكون إنسان محدثا، كما أن الهاتف، وهذا التشبيه لا يندرج على الجانب البشري، ولكن حتى نوصل المعلومة، حتى يعمل الهاتف أو الجهاز بأحسن صورة لابد أن يكون محدثا بأحدث البرامج. كذلك أنت أيها الإنسان، المهارة الفريدة التي سوف توجد فيك أو تستطيع من خلالها مجابهة الآخرين هي المهارة والتي تسمى الانسجام الوظيفي أو الاندماج الوظيفي. حتى دائما أقول أنا انسجم وظيفيا حتى لا تحترق وظيفيا. لذلك لابد أن تكون لديك تلك المعرفة وتلك المهارة وذلك السلوك الذي يطبق داخل، أي بمعنى سد الفجوة، مثل ما أخبرتنا الأستاذة أنه فعليا توجد هنالك فجوات، أنت سوف تستطيع أن تسد هذه الفجوات من خلال الانسجام. لذلك فعليا لا يكفينا مهارة التواصل والاتصال، لربما المعرفة تكون مفقودة. لا يكفينا كذلك أن تكون مبدعا، لربما لا توجد لديك تلك المهارة لإيصال ذلك الإبداع للآخرين. سوف يشاهدونه نعم، ولكن كيف تحفر في ذاكرة الآخرين عن طريق مهارتك الخاصة أنه فعليا هذا الشيء موجود فيك أنت أيها الإنسان. لذلك المدير عادة، ولاحظوا معي هذا الشيء، سوف يوكل المهام من توجد لديه مهارة الانسجام أو أنه يصادق الجميع داخل المؤسسة، لأنه يستطيع أن يتحكم. إذن هنالك مهارة أخرى تسمى إدارة، أي بمعنى تستطيع كذلك أن تتعايش مع الآخرين، وهذه ضمن الانسجام أو الاندماج الوظيفي. لذلك عندما نتحدث عن المهارة الفريدة هي تلك المهارة التي يستطيع من خلالها أن ينسجم وظيفيا مع بقية الأشخاص، كذلك أن يتواكب مع الأنشطة الموجودة داخل أو داخل الشركة أو مكان العمل، سواء كان يعني داخل المكاتب أو خارج المكاتب. العالم متجدد ومتسارع، نعرف أن التكنولوجيا حاضرة وموجودة. والله لو قلنا الشخص الفلاني يمتلك من المهارة في جانب التكنولوجيا أو التقانة، إلا أنه لا يكفي أن يقدم لي تقنية لا يستطيع إيصالها إلى الآخرين أو تخدم الآخرين. لذلك سوف يكون العالم تقنيا فعليا ولكن لا يحمل المشاعر، لا يحمل تلك الجوانب يعني خلينا نسميها اللي هو الذكاء الاجتماعي. لن يكون هنالك نجاحا بدون انسجام وظيفي ويركز عليه الإنسان. لا نستطيع أن نتطرق اليوم كيف يمكن أن يتعلم الانسجام الوظيفي، لأن الخبرة لا تكفي والمعرفة لا تكفي والمهارة لا تكفي. أي بمعنى آخر أستطيع أن أوظفها، هي مسألة إدارة، والإدارة تكون في المشاعر، في الموقف، أن تعيش اللحظة في نفس التوقيت. الموضوع دائما يؤخذ بطريقة شمولية، وتحدثت في ذلك المهارة المفقودة وهي التفكير الناقد. بارك الله فيكم.
شكرا عبد الله. Now I think when we are talking about the future skills, we are talking about something in the paper. Now we need to move in the practical side, in the best practice in the market. So, Mohammed, based on your experience in SOHAR board and Freezone, can you give us example how you implement these concepts and frameworks in the ground?
Yeah. So in SOHAR port and Freezone, in 2020, we started to create and update our competency framework. And we had of course, we utilized the days of the pandemic while working from home. So we had a good time to, make some updates in our plans. And one of the plans was to update the competency framework inside the port. And I remember we were focusing more into some technical port infrastructure competency needs, plus the marine or the maritime industry or the field of the marine. How can we manage and identify the best competencies and skills for this sector? And I remember we had some discussion in 2020 about we need to look into the future when it comes to the port infrastructure. And we had identified railway knowledge and management as a competency, the train management. And this was in 2020. And it was just on paper, just to make sure that we have the right competency for the future, to be prepared for the future. And very happy saying when a few months ago, when His Majesty Sultan Haytham welcomed his brother Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed in Oman, and there were some agreements after that engagement about to create the train between SOHAR till Abu Dhabi, and because some of part of the project are aligned with SOHAR ports. And we were very, happy and surprised that whatever was in paper, now we can see it in real life. So we were at least prepared, that we are at least prepared for the future. We know after the coming years, we will be having a train in SOHAR to Abu Dhabi, but at least we were prepared for that. This is one example that we were prepared for the future. Another example is also, and yesterday we were awarded here for the artificial intelligence in the sector of drones. And proudly saying that in SOHAR port we do have 5 drones operators. They have the license, Omani 5 employees, that is something counted for the country, that they have the license to manage drones inside the ports in terms of maintenance, investigations done for the inspections of the ships and vessels, plus the equipments of the oil and gas and other sectors. So this preparation was not now. This preparation was maybe more than 5 years from now. So at least this is another example that just to give that we prepared for the future before the future. And there are a lot of other initiatives. Of course, this is not only us, but I believe PDO yesterday gave us a very good examples in science. There is another company's organization here, Oman. They have a very good examples of future skills which have been already conducted. There is some SMEs, we hear that they do have some amazing projects. So I believe when it comes to Oman, we do have a lot of examples, real life example, not only on papers. People or individuals, organization had already managed to transfer the paper documents into a real life. So this is some examples we do have in SOHAR about preparing for the future skills.
Thank you, Mohammed. Mr. Subrahmanian, you have long experience and you work, I think, in different companies. So can you give us examples how within your experience in these different companies, what's the best practice and examples that you can share it with us?
Thank you. Yes, discussed earlier, the people development depends upon correctly identifying the competency gaps actually. That's the first thing to do. So we definitely need the competency framework. The future skills, when we look at the IT related skills, do we have to teach everyone these skills? If we are going to teach, and what level, that we need to identify. Maybe some people, some positions, they may need only an awareness. Some need only a knowledge, and few needs skill. So starting with the competency framework is very important. Then when it comes to training, there are two types of skills actually. Skills which are essential skills for the job. And there are also skills, nice to know skills, that may not be very, very important, yeah? That may support you. So when you look for a development plan, make sure you have all the essential skills are listed. Dr. Reshmy was speaking about skill-based development. Skill-based development is, earlier, because I've been quite long here, involved in training, delivering training, observing trainers. Sometimes what happens is, training will be a lot of, there will be a lot of generic training actually. We call everything under sky is nice to know. But many things which are very essential for the work, that may be missed. In Australia, they started a skill-based development. Look at what are the specific skills for that particular person. List down those skills and teach that skill. Make the person to repeat it on a machinery, on a system, 2-3 times, reconfirm and certify. So he can start delivering from the very next day. To give an example is for skill-based development, or what we need to do for the future development is, you have to teach someone on a particular machinery. Look at the specific machinery requirement, not on teaching about all the similar machineries across the globe and how they are working alone. Look at the particular machinery and teach those skills. Then it will be very focused and very effective. So essential skills we need to teach, and the non-essential skills, nice to know. Maybe there is time and resources, nothing wrong in teaching that. So identifying, listing down the essential skills, making a good, development plan. We all, every organizations will have good training plan actually. They'll also execute the plans. But sometimes what happens is, the follow-up may not be very good. Making sure someone attended a training program, have they received the required skills? Maybe sometime when they get back to work. Say an example, when someone is working in a shift in an office, there is something, maybe a machinery is always tripping. Then his team leader decided to, send this person for a training for that particular machinery, operations. Maybe in the performance report, at the end of the year, he evaluated the performance report and he realized he's not good in this particular area. The person went for the training. He come back after attending the training. Then also the machinery is tripping and the team leader realized there was no much learning. Actually, in this case, there was good learning. This particular person had all the skills. But the issue was, he was not applying it. So his issue was a motivational issue. That comes for the part of the organization itself. So when you identifying the skill gaps, develop your, training plans, we need to make sure every, requirement is really required for the employee. So training need analysis or a gap analysis need to be done by utilizing the right kind of tools actually. Years back, the training plans are, perceptions of the employees. Manager asks what all trainings you want to do. So what people do is, okay, can I get something in Dubai? Yeah, somewhere else actually, because I make a trip, I can attend a training, I can also make a trip, right? And maybe sometimes people go for training which are not relevant to their job role. Now time has changed. Corporates are very keen on making every real they spend on training, they wanted the return on investment. So the gap analysis, the training need analysis has to be done. Training plan should not be as per the perception of the employee. It must be documented. And people, a machinery operator, no need to go for a finance training. If there is a resource, it's fine. Otherwise, we need to look at what are the specific requirements and what are the skills, what are the skill gaps.
Great, great. Amirah, also from your side, what the best practice and example you can share with us?
Regarding which part exactly?
Regarding how to implement the right training for the right...
The right training,
yeah.
okay. So...
because you deal, I think, with many...
Yes, actually I have I noticed something, it's like a pain, that's the shared pain or something, a challenge that everybody's facing here, which is the gap between what the higher institutes are offering in terms of talents and what the organizations are looking for. And it makes us want to consider, the organizations need to consider, and how can we creatively reconsider the internship programs that we offer or the training experience that we offer to the students or the graduates. Because I was lucky enough to work closely with senior students and fresh graduates from the top universities in Egypt. And it was not intended to be something that's about internship or having them part. It was mainly an employer branding program. And our brand promise as a real estate developer was building on. So we took the slogan building on and we transferred it into building on talents. And we started thinking, how can we build on talents that are going to become part of our organization at one time in the future? So we took the time to invest our thoughts, invest our time in creating, collaborating with the universities and creating programs that invited them into the organization in different ways. So instead of the traditional internship where you get the referrals and you get the CVs and the student comes and spends some time doing living the normal day of the organization, maybe doing some mundane work, maybe getting, if they're lucky enough, they get some mentorship. You tailor a specific program that enables them with whatever skills that you want them to have once they're back in the market and they're offering in the market. So this is like the holy grail of talents, if we can call it. Like you have the answer to all the challenges of talent scarcity there. So it's very important that we think of creative ways to invite the youth there. And I think at this specific era we're standing on, this specific point of time, it can be very enriching also if the top management participates. I was lucky to work with the CEO who believed in all kinds of talents. So he made the time available to meet students. He made the time available to meet professionals, managers, everyone. So if we can embrace this, I believe these students or these young people, they have a lot to offer. It's not just about them gaining the experience from the organization. Their perspective, the freshness of their perspective, their creativity, their raw talent, this is all what we're looking for. So you take it and you turn it into something that returns to you in the form of a qualified candidate at the end.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Reshmy, regarding the academic sector, and there are many blames that came from your institutions in general. There is gap between the graduate students and the needs of the market needs. So can the institution, the academic institution, make effectual rules in this area?
I think so. Higher education institutions can play a vital role in this issue, in this scenario. But always there's an argument that who will initiate, higher education institutions or industry, like that. But later we came into a conclusion, an industry academia collaboration should be there. That is the compromise. It's already there. That is also there. But I doubt that whether in a true sense, most effectively that collaboration is happening. Because, you know, nowadays, even though it is changing, the higher education is a knowledge-based education. That is, there we are teaching them theory, theoretical, but gradually it is changing now. Now we are focusing more on the practical side of all concept and theories like that. But still it has to improve a lot. And a skill-based training is very much required in higher education institutions. And for that, actually, I suggest, like this, the industries, that is what industries, that is employer, they can suggest what are the skills they require, and they can suggest to include that particular courses in the curriculum of higher education. So then only, you know, when a student is getting graduated, he will be well trained, or at least he will get the awareness and he will be trained on that particular, especially soft skills and behavioral skills like that. And but for that, nowadays in all higher education institutions, this industry academia collaboration is there. It is supposed to be there. In some institution it is there. And see, in all departments, all universities and colleges, academic boards are there. Usually these academic boards, it consists of industry people. So I wish more industry people should come to the academic board so that they can suggest what is their exact requirement they need. And that can be included in the curriculum or as a separate training sessions like that. It can be conducted during the course of this education itself. And another thing is training sessions can be more, training sessions should be conducted in the higher education institutions, especially by the industry people. Then only, you know, the up-to-date skills or the requirements of the industry will be transferred or will be conveyed to the students. And such awareness sessions, actually I was just before this session, I was talking to Mr. Ahmed, and I was telling that I would like to invite him for a session for our students. You know, these students are the main stakeholders, isn't it? So especially the graduate students. So if we train them, what is the up-to-date technology and what are the innovation, in which area they can go for the innovations and creativity. And if we are motivating them, no, see, wonderful results will come. And very fortunately, now our ministry is also, Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation, they are also in that direction. So they are giving most importance for the innovation. So they are bringing from each projects are there as per the curriculum. Actually, end of the their studies, the final year, they are doing projects. These projects let the students do some innovative projects, which are real-time projects, we can say. So let them do these innovative projects, and gradually we are transforming that into the SMEs, entrepreneurship like that. So ministry is also moving in that direction, and I hope that all higher education institutions are also moving in that direction, and we can create wonderful results. So in that sense, higher education institutions can play a vital role, and in this one, in the case of innovation, creativity, and especially in the case of soft skills, because these soft skills students are learning from there only, isn't it? Say communication skills, teamwork, attitude, and then the collaboration, you know, how to make collaboration. Here, actually, all of them were mentioning in an institution what is the importance of teamwork and collaboration. What is the importance of communication skills? What is the importance of critical thinking? What is the importance of analytical thinking? So all this, they are starting the practice from the education level only. So, no, in that level itself we should start. And we should start training on the soft skills, behavioral skills. Later, I think the hard skills, that is for each job and for each vision and mission, it is different for each organization. As per that, hard skills can be trained can be trained. But again, if the employer wants, we need some skills, trained graduates, then in that case, they can give suggestions to the education institutions, universities or colleges. And it can be included in the curriculum so that the graduate students will be more trained. And our labor market will get more skill-based candidates, and this barrier also can be avoided. For recruitment, employees are getting enough number of skill-based candidates for the recruitment.
Thank you. Now the time, I will opening the time to question from the audience. I need you to challenge our guests here. Do you have any questions? No one would like to ask. تفضل.
السلام عليكم. كيف حالكم؟ إن شاء الله بخير. جزاكم الله خير على وقتكم الثمين والأداء الطيب. أنا بحكم أني من وزارة العمل أوجه سؤال أو استفسار بالأصح إلى وزارة التربية والتعليم. اليوم نحن يعني المخرجات اللي عندنا نتكلم ما بعد اللي هو التعليم العالي. التعليم العالي اليوم
بس لو تقرب المايك.
التعليم العالي اليوم عندنا مخرجات هو تكدس في بعض التخصصات. بينما لو نظرنا للسوق نجد مثلا على سبيل المثال قطاع الكهرباء، قطاع النفط والى اخره. في كثير من الفرص متاحة. فهنا السؤال، هل وزارة التربية عندها خطة مستقبلية؟ يعني أنا أعرف الأعداد مثلا في حلول 2025 أنا بيتخرجوا عندي 45,000. هذا ال 45,000 إيش هم خلال آخر 3 سنوات من مرحلة الثانوية؟ إيش هم التالنت أو السكيلز اللي عندهم متوفرة على أساس أني أنا أوجههم في مرحلة ما بعد الثانوية؟ هنا نجد أن ما في وضوح أو ما في يعني مثل ما تقول قاعدة بيانات صحيحة لتوجيه هذا الطالب الخريج للرايت دايركشن للتخصص. فلما ننتقل إلى التعليم العالي، التعليم العالي اليوم عندك المؤسسات الأكاديمية هي معدودة في البلد والمقاعد أقل. لو فرضنا عندي أنا 2025 20,000 خريج، 20,000 هذيلا، هل 20,000 مقعد متوفر سواء مهني أو في اللي هو الدراسات الأكاديمية؟ فأعتقد أن بحلول الثورة الصناعية الرابعة اليوم أن يجب إتاحة الأكثر إلى المهنية. يعني أنا قطاع الكهرباء مثلا، قطاع الأسماك، قطاع الحيواني وإلى آخره، كل هذه القطاعات فيها شواغر، فيجب التدريس فيها ما بس أكاديمي، نفتح إلى الجانب المهني. هذا جانب مهم. لما نرجع إلى السكيلز ما بعد التخرج، من وجهة نظري أن كل شخص عنده تالنت، في تالنت موجود لكل شخص وهذا بديهي يعني، ولكن لربما في المقابلات يحدث إيش؟ أن اللجنة تحاول تفرض سيطرتها. هنا هذا الخريج ما عنده القدرة أو الاستطاعة للتعبير إيش اللي عنده، فهنا هو يمكن هو يعني قادر وإلى آخره، لكن ما تفتح الحصول على الوظيفة. فالآن نرجع لوزارة العمل. وزارة العمل تايهة. كيف تايهة؟ أنا عندي مخرجات،
هو حد باقي ما تايه
حقيقة يعني الكل تايه، لأن ما في قاعدة بيانات واضحة. خلينا نكون قريبين من الواقع. لما نجي نحن اليوم تتكلموا عن الفيوتشر سكيلز، هي ترى ما تندرج بس تحت الموظف لما التحق بالمؤسسة. هل القادة اليوم هم قادة فعليين محفزين؟ أنا لما يكون عندي قائد محفز في المؤسسة أتبعه، طبيعي أو بديهي أني أنتج. فهنا أنا أشوف كذلك أن القادة محتاجين إلى، يعني أنا أحدد هل أنا بغى قادة أو مسؤولين. أنا أعطي، ما فقط أنا أتوجه إلى الكانديديت اللي هو الباحث عن عمل السنكر هذا وقل أنت أعطيني، ولكن أنا في الجانب الآخر هل هيأت للبيئة المناسبة؟ هل أنا حضرت في أكثر من تساؤل. جزاكم الله خير.
هو ما حد هنا عندنا يعني يمثل وزارة التربية يعني، إلا إذا حد من هذه الطاولة يعني، بس حد يعطيهم المايك هنا.
أستاذ ثني.
شكرا.
وأخاف أنه يصير مجلس شورى بس شوية هذا.
السلام عليكم. شكرا على مداخلة الأخ من وزارة العمل. طبعا أنا ما مثل وزارة التربية والتعليم بشكل مهني، إنما أنا مثل مديرية من قسم التوجيه المهني. طبعا إجابتي إجابة شخصية ولا تمثل أيضا وزارة التعليم. نحن في التوجيه المهني طبعا نعمل على أكساب الطلبة الكثير من اتجاهات نحو اختيار التخصص المناسب بما يتناسب مع مهاراته وأيضا اتجاهاته وتفضيلاته الدراسية. فيما يتعلق طبعا اللي هو سؤال الأخ، نعقب عليه في توفير البيانات. طبعا احنا نواجه صعوبة كثيرة في توجيه الطلبة نحو سوق العمل، وأيضا هي الإحصائيات، أقصد الإحصائيات. طبعا أخصائي التوجيه المهني يحتاج إلى كثير من الإحصائيات، وهي الإحصائيات الوظائف اللي يتطلبها سوق العمل في بعد تخرج الطالب بعد 4 سنوات. فعملية توجيه الطالب لهذه الوظائف طبعا تحتاج إلى قاعدة بيانات، فإذا غابت هذه قاعدة بيانات فتكون مجرد هو توجيه معرفي وليس توجيه بناء على ما هو احتياج سوق العمل المستقبلي من هذه الوظائف. فهذه احنا نعانيها من وزارة اللي هي طبعا من أي الجهات المعنية في توفير هذه البيانات. فنجد أخصائي التوجيه المهني أثناء توجيهه في المدرسة ما عنده قاعدة بيانات واضحة لسوق العمل ما بعد تخرجه. طبعا ما أقصد تخرجه هو ما بعد 5 سنوات، طبعا يقضي 4 سنوات كناحية دراسية معرفية. فهذه هو اللي نواجهها احنا في وزارة التربية والتعليم في توجيه الطلبة وتفضيلاته نحو اختيار التخصصات الدراسية. طبعا إذا توفرت هذه البيانات أو قاعدة البيانات فأكيد تكون هناك موائمة ما بين احتياجات سوق العمل وما بين اختيار الطالب أو تفضيل الطالب لهذه التخصصات. طبعا نحن لا ننسى أيضا الطالب من ضمن ليست فقط إنه ما هو موجود في سوق العمل نقوم بعملية توجيه أو فرض نوع معين لاختيار هذا التخصص، إنما في النهاية يرجع إلى تفضيل الطالب لاختيار التخصص اللي يرغب فيه. فنحن دوما التوجيه هنا قائم على أساس ما هي رغبة الطالب في اختيار التخصص الدراسي. طبعا لا ننسى احنا سوق العمل وما هي أيضا ليس سوق العمل فقط المحلي إنما أيضا على المستوى الإقليمي. فلو توفرت هذه القاعدة البيانات فأكيد بتكون هناك موائمة ما بين اختيار الطالب التخصص الدراسي وما بين أيضا تفضيلات المهنية في المستقبل.
واضح. وأنا يعني من حكم تجربتي واحتكاكي بوزارة التربية هناك كثير من البرامج الإثرائية أيضا على مستوى كيف تهيئة الطلاب للمرحلة ما بعد العمل. عبد الله عندك مداخلة في هذا المعنى؟
نعم، لربما أن السؤال فيه الكثير من الجوانب، ولكن سأتناول شق جدا مهم ألا وهو أنا لا أمثل أي وزارة طبعا في هذا الشأن، ولكن أقول دائما أن 3 المراحل الأخيرة من الدراسة مهمة جدا في أن تركز الوزارة كذلك على جانب، وهو في أن تتصدر هذه المدرسة أو الجهة التعليمية بإنشاء شيء ما يسمى مثلا المركز المهني لرعاية الموهوبين، حتى يكون هذا المركز يعني منسجم تماما مع سوق العمل، ومن بعد هذا الانسجام ينقل التجربة مباشرة إلى الطلبة، وذلك من خلال ليش احنا نسوي حصة مفتوحة أو يوم مفتوح ما يسمى داخل المدارس، لا نكرر ما تم دراسته في المواد فقط، وإنما نضيف إضافة جديدة. لذلك القيمة المضافة الآن في هذا الأمر أن الطالب يعيش تجربة بسيطة جدا من الجانب المهني أو المستقبلي ويكون جاهز لها. الجانب أو التحدي الكبير هو أن الطلبة مثل ما تفضل الأستاذ يخرج وهو يكاد تايه يعني، أو ما يستطيع أن يحدد يعني ما عنده بعض المفاهيم أو المحددات التي من خلالها يستطيع أن يواكب أو يعايش. أنا تكلمت عن الانسجام أو الاندماج. ترى بعد الطالب لابد أن يكون هو في البيت يعيش مع أسرة، الأسرة هذه تعمل في الدوائر الحكومية وكذلك في القطاع الخاص. لا ننسى بأن الفرد نفسه قبل أن يكون طالبا داخل المدرسة مطالب بأن يكون متواكبا مع هذه الحياة. يعني ينظر إلى أخوه مثلا لديه مشكلة في العمل، الآن الأستاذ تفضل وقال أنه فعليا عند المقابلة ينصدم، يعني تصير عنده شك، ليش هذا صار بهذا الأسلوب، أنا كنت محضر بالطريقة الفلانية. إذا هنالك مهارة كذلك وتندرج ضمن مهارات المستقبل، وهي الجاهزية أو الاستعداد. هذه تتأتى خلفها الكثير من الأمور حتى نستطيع أن الإنسان نخليه في أو ندعوه فعليا في. ليش مثلا عمان لدي هذا الموضوع كمثال فقط، لديها مثلا أعاصير وكذلك بعض الأحداث التي نراها من شاهين وغيره. كيف سوف تنجح؟ من خلال الاستعداد. القوى البشرية احنا في بيوتنا جالسين ككل، أو خلينا نقول كمواطنين، سوف يتبعون من هم جاهزون. تأكد كل التأكيد أنت جاهز في المنزل أو في المدرسة في نفس التوقيت. لا نلقي العبء هنا، يعني بعد أمر معين لا نلقي بالعبء أو الثقل على وزارة التربية والتعليم. أنا لا أدافع عنهم حقيقة، ولكن الإنسان كذلك نفسه. ذكرت الدكتورة كذلك أن يكون الإنسان محفزا لنفسه، هنالك أن يكون كذلك صاحب العمل محفزا لغيره. التحفيز عملية مهمة جدا في حياة كل إنسان، سواء كان داخل التربية أو داخل المركز. خلاصة الأمر، أو أنا أسميه مركز رعاية الموهوبين، أو المركز المهني لرعاية الموهوبين ونقل التجارب من الحياة الخارجية المهنية إلى الحياة التربوية والتعليمية داخل المدارس. أتوقع سوف يكون حلقة وصل من شأنها تقلل هذه الفجوة أو الصدمات التي يمكن يتلقاها الآخرون، ولكن كن مستعدا، ستجد الحياة مفتوحة لك. بارك الله فيك.
شكرا عبد الله. شوية بس نغلق موضوع التربية والهذا، يعني أتوقع وضحت وجهة النظر. أيوة فاهم، بس قصدي إنه شوية موضوعنا نحن على الورك انفايرمنت شوية، إذا حد عنده مداخلة في هذا الناحية تفضل.
السلام عليكم. فيصل البلوشي من جامعة طنقابوس. طبعا I need to switch to English, sorry. So, throughout yesterday and today, we're talking about future skills. We're talking about, future skill, performance, framework, and also competencies. The majority of talks about, the graduates lacking certain competencies. But my question is, we discussed, heavily about, university graduate lacking competencies. How about, HR personnel lacking also competencies? So we discuss the problem of job seekers is that they lack skills. But how about, HR personnel who lack, really HR competencies? So when we see some ads as just a joke, the position does not require the skills that they shove in. It's like, for example, I'm an EdTech expert. When I see some companies require e-learning experts and they ask for computer science certificate, that's a joke. Because e-learning is an educational sector, it's an educational field, but they're asking someone from IT. So that's my question. Why we do not discuss the incompetency of HR in Oman?
This is true sometimes, yeah? Because when you see a job advertisement, many of the times the skills and competencies required are not clearly specified. So then many people, without knowing whether they are eligible to apply, they all apply. Then one of the things I noticed is the interview skills actually. When any one of the HR people, they go for interview, the focus area must be they have to give enough time for the candidate to answer. Because sometimes you ask a question, Candidate knows the answer very well, but he or she needs some time to take it out from the heart and, from the mind and give the answer. But immediately the second question comes. So then candidate will be a little bit upset actually, because candidate no need to respond quickly unless until you're handling emergencies, you need quick response actually. For every other job, there is enough time actually to refer the documents, to refer procedures. So we need to give ample time for the candidate to answer. Then listening to the candidate is so important. Sometimes the interviewer goes for the interview thinking that, okay, this guy is also going to say that story. Then maybe they don't focus much. So listening to the candidates, what he or she is speaking is very important. Another one I noticed is, when you ask questions to somebody, say you want to select someone for a, position. So the methodology has to be fair for everybody. So the interviewer wanted to do a written test for everybody. There are 25 candidates. Then the written test is given. Written test also given a specific time actually. Why that particular specific time is required? Because they don't need to respond quickly in the work. Then what can happen is, there is a candidate who is very brilliant, who knows the job very well, but he's not very good at writing, English. Maybe a little bit low, but the job-wise, he's excellent. Skills are best. But then after 25 candidates completes the written test, when they evaluate, this particular candidate who is actually good at work may not get through the written test. So then he will not be part of the interviews. So the interview skills actually need to be really changed to get the right people.
I think you did not get the point. So we're coming back again, and we are focusing on student. Now I give an example. So Sultan Qaboos University, we have College of Education, and we have a department that train EdTech experts. So these EdTech experts, usually globally, they are the best who will take the position of e-learning experts. Okay, here in Oman, companies, when they require e-learning experts, they require BA in computer science rather than in education technology. So these are who are well qualified. So we as a university, we did our job. We know what skills are required for this position. We train them very well, but they cannot even apply for the job because the HR does not know about this field.
I do have a clarification. First of all, Faisal, right? Yes, Faisal. Faisal, what you are saying is a really big issue, problem, we can say, in the labor market in Oman, okay? But just to clarify one point, if you will tell me the HR people, who are the people who are designing a job, that is a big mistake. Any job, actually, e-learning specialist, for example, if you would like to advertise or announce for an e-learning specialist in the market, HR is not only the responsible person to add what is needed for this job. If an organization, they will just keep the HR person to identify the job description, the competencies needed, this is a very, very big mistake they are doing. And it's going to affect the organization performance. And they will not get any proper candidate in the market. In announcing any job, there is a lot of processes happening before. And one of it, sometimes you need to go back to the market. For example, I would like to announce an e-learning specialist in our organization. I can come to Sultan Qaboos University and sit with the specialist people there. What are the skills needed for this job? There is something called a job design, not a job description. A lot of people, when they announce a job, they would just add job description and just apply, send your CV to this email. This is a very big mistake. There is something called a job design. You need to identify what are the skills needed for this job. Role and responsibilities, not job description, role and responsibility, daily tasks. So I agree with you, some companies, they will announce e-learning and they will keep some criteria which is not realistically. I agree with you, this is a market. But this is the mistake is, of course, HR has a very big part of the mistake, but they also need to align with the business. what is the realistically needs for this job. Based on that, they can design a job profile. From this job profile, I'm ready now to announce it outside in the market. So that's why we always say recruit the right person in the right position. And the problem is we always recruit based on one interview, two interview. We need to recruit people, organizations needs to recruit not only based on one interview or two interview. I will give you one of our examples. What we do, sometimes we take more than 3-4 months to recruit one candidate. Not because of he was not good, he was amazing in the interview, but we also do some assessments for him, some based competency scenario for him to make sure that he's the right person. But it all starts from what you said. What is the real job requirements? What are the competency skills needed for this job? And don't go away. You need to go back with and that's why in the beginning I said in my part, I said we need to collaborate with universities and colleges for some data analytics. We need to go back. Corporates will never work alone. They need to go back to the research and development specialists in the market.
I think it's clear now. تفضل.
Thank you very much indeed. Yaqub Al-Ghatrifi from
The last question.
Yeah. It's like a follow-up remark. I think what is, the outcome of this gathering, we really appreciate this, that we've got a place where we can just, voices heard from everybody from different sectors. The framework that was initiated yesterday could have been fed and feeded by the, by other School of Education, Ministry of Education, universities, tertiary level, the market as well, all of them coming together to feed that particular framework and providing the appropriate environment in schools, universities, very important here. When I say environment, within the, discovering the learners, abilities, competencies, skills, there must be an assessment, a formed assessment regime where the learners can be discovered, explored. They themselves, they can just, do. Sometimes from the early stages of learning, you can tell that this is a good engineer potential, I'm not pointing at anyone. I'm just, giving a remarks in here.
It's clear.
Yeah. So by providing this environment, likewise at tertiary level, universities as well, they do have, these sort of skills-driven curriculums, let's say, analyzing, the market exactly needs. Throughout this framework, we can get these skills integrated, into the curriculum and into the teaching as well. Now, if I say you can just bring the Oxford University's curriculum syllabus here and teach it in here, without that, equipment, the ones who are teaching it, again, the value wouldn't be that much. I don't know if you want to understand me or not.
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah, exactly. So here, we need this sort of environment within the workforce, within the HR, they themselves analyze as our colleague here said that, it's not only the HR themselves, but it's a holistic work. By doing this and another gathering, like this gathering, believe me, we are on the right track and we can just, achieve a lot. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your
comments.
Thank you. I would like to thank all of you for listening for us, and I would like to thank you for your insights and discussion. So hope to see you in other events, inshallah. Thank you.